The Quake Pro League is in full swing for the Americas right now as we get ourselves to the mid portion of the broadcast suit. This is where things are going to start getting a little bit outrageous.
I mean, it was already heating up in that last game, but now it heats up even more. We get cha1n and whaz going up versus each other, and these are some very interesting players. In particular, cha1n, who's one of the real rising stars in the North American part of the world. The thing is, I think his progress got a little bit stunted at QuakeCon. We were expecting him to burst out a bit more, get himself higher in the ranks, whereas he kind of fell down and eventually in 13th position. He's called the comeback kid, and I want him to come back to the sort of glory that I've been seeing him leading up to this Quake Pro League.
I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like, if there is a chance and opportunity to do it when the limelight is shined on him, now would be the time to really start absolutely giving it. So if it's going to come through, we'll have to wait and see if he can go absolutely off the chain, of course, as we look into some of the damage that he has been dealing.
Yeah, and he's the one Canadian representative as well in the Americas. He has got a fantastic rail on him as well, actually. If I were to pinpoint one of the weapons that he's best at, it's definitely that weapon. I know our producer will be excited to see a scale bearer here in the highlights, which he's been waiting for the whole time. Maybe we'll get it from him. But yeah, he's slowed down, I think. He's been grinding a lot, but I think he's kind of hit that plateau at the moment where he's been struggling to really take himself to the next level.
Right.
And I'm hoping now that we've got this regular activity in the Quake Pro League that he's going to be able to find a way that he can mark kind of his progress week in, week out, and it's going to be more apparent for him and hopefully for everybody else.
Hopefully so, because obviously it's kind of a learning curve and obviously seeing how well effectively they're going to be doing throughout the course of the Pro League because, as we said, it's sort of a whole new kettle of fish that has been thrown out in terms of the format, of course. Obviously, people starting to get to grips with what they're going in with, the bans they had available to them, like the fact that they have to learn so many champs now getting into it, which is providing for some really interesting games, but it's essentially the fact as well that there is now so many online games for them to compete in, and we've seen some players obviously excel on LAN, the difference now of how well are they putting up a fight online, and I think already just over the course of today we've seen weird results that we're just like, alright, this is way more interesting now. We've actually got a lot more to look into, whereas we just haven't really had that in the past, so it's crazy cool.
No, absolutely. And over on the other side, of course, we have got whaz. First thing that comes to mind is whaz Dazzle. There it is on the screen right there. This guy been around the community for a long time. I think I wouldn't even point out a weapon of his specifically to look out for. What you look out for with whaz is his movement. He has unbelievable movement. He's one of the best. When you apply it, not just to sort of the defrag system of things, but actually to apply it into game, into duel, into CTF and the likes, this guy is so hot to watch. And one thing that I'm a huge fan of personally is I nerd that movement myself. So when I see someone like him being creative and having his own Wazzle Dazzle jump, hopefully he can apply in Quake Champions as well. I get excited.
Yeah, I think so. I think this one has definitely provided us with some moments that, are going to tickle you in all the right places and get you excited.
Yeah, completely. But now the thing is, when we talk about predictions, this is where it becomes really difficult. We were talking about it in the side room, and I'm saying this is, to me, one of the most balanced matches of the day, in my opinion. And if you put like matchups together in terms of what's even possible in the Quake Pro League, I very much think it applies the same way. So you'd really have to get a gun out and put it to my head, because I genuinely don't know. My mind says cha1n, heart says whaz.
Okay. So
would you like to split the difference?
Should we split here? We'll go for a trade, or how can we see if maybe this will influence your decision? If we have a look at the picks and bans, this might give you a little bit more influence.
No, I'm still stuck. No.
No.
So interesting that whaz got rid of the Anarchy. He's very good with mobility, but it looks like he wants to set himself for a little bit more of a sort of straightforward affair. Thing is, if he's got the ban first, if he doesn't get rid of Anarchy, then he knows that cha1n could use it. Visor Galena, very much even for me. Vale is where it gets interesting. Athena being used. That's, I think, in my opinion, a high-risk champion from cha1n, but executed well can be incredibly effective. Still, even when you're going to Aizen, who's one of the staple champions of Vale, can go either way. And then Blood Covenant, like 2 expert champions for this. Low self-damage Ranger, double jump Doom. You got the Orb as well, obviously. I mean, no, it doesn't help me whatsoever. And I'm not even joking this time.
You're really stuck in a pickle.
I am super stuck. In chat, cha1n or whaz, guys. I want to get myself some eyes on chat, but tell us your thoughts as well, so I can look back at the VOD and I can read your nice, wonderful comments about is it cha1n or is it whaz?
You can reassure yourself.
Yeah, a little bit.
With your decision.
Exactly. I think I'm going to go cha1n.
You're going to go for cha1n?
Yeah. 2-1.
All right, well, we'll split it, because I feel like potentially here whaz will be able to come in with some big, whazzle dazzle level gameplay. So I'm excited for it. I feel like actually this will give us an awful lot to talk about. This one's going to be a mouthful. So
yeah, and I don't want to put it in the sort of, oh, it's going to be a 2-1 because it's that close. It could be 3-0. I'm just expecting there to be some very close maps. If we start getting any blowouts, I will be surprised no matter which way it goes in, because I think these guys are very close up. Maybe one sort of defining difference between them and their backgrounds of how they play is cha1n is a bit more purebred in terms of duel from his experience climbing through the ranks, whereas whaz has got a background in the team games.
Right.
He's built his movement mechanics through defragging, but he's been building his skills mechanically in the shooting and everything through the likes of CTF. And now, a bit like you've seen with Brick, with Cygib, applying it into the full-time duel role, that's where you have to see that different level of discipline, where he can try and match himself with the likes of cha1n or the others that we've got at the top of the leaderboards.
I think that's where sort of only time will tell, really. Obviously, when we're into this, if there's a contrast to that, if anything's changed, because obviously that's one where the more we were talking about sort of defining yourself individually as a player, you never really know, right? If you are still always going to be sort of that jack of all trades, or if eventually people will start to sort of define themselves more into one particular route. But it can always be beneficial as well, because as we've said a lot today, the idea of Quake essentially being a game where you do need to have backup plans. You can't always just have plan A. You need an awful lot to work with. But something we're going to have to work with, of course, an amazing matchup. We're into it. whaz versus cha1n. This one is going to be absolutely outrageous as we kick it off.
So whaz does get an awkward spawn at the beginning. You often have to kind of feel out what is your opponent doing, but he manages to take that gamble down into heavy and gets rewarded. Oh, he just pulls away for a second looking for that nail damage, but he can't switch to LG fast enough, and cha1n punishes him incredibly hard for that. And, cha1n maybe, did he hear the piercing sight used early on and realize, okay, now is a good time to catch him while he's vulnerable? He's coming out all guns blazing at the start of Ruins, and one more rail could kind of ruin the start even more for whaz.
Yeah, luckily he's been able to back off, get that armor back up and put himself into a position to at least stay alive for a while longer, rather than just getting completely annihilated in the opening few moments. cha1n has already got one frag. You don't want to concede a second this early on and give him a big lead to play with.
Ooh, find him again. That rail, but whaz wants to dismount from there and not challenging for any more damage. Ooh, did he spot him just then? I think he might have caught the outline of his head. And now with a second left until the heavy, he's not going to be able to remove that item from him, but he's in a pretty balanced fight with that rocket rail. That is superb. Manages to save a lot of his own resources and even stack up with the mega health afterwards.
cha1n getting himself back through straight away now, as he's looking healthy. He's got a good lead to work with. This is actually fairly effective early on into this matchup as well, and the movement is actually fairly crisp. Nicely repositioning around the map. Expects the push to come down. It's a good read against what he expects whaz to do to try and gain map control. Gets the instant armor pickup, does the damage onto whaz, and then quickly reaggresses the follow-up rail. That is sublime, and there's the finisher.
These are really, really good rails from cha1n. Hard angles, especially the one he hit down from heavy. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal from him at the moment. whaz needs to figure out a way to slow this down and try and somehow push cha1n out of the mad control that he's got at the moment. He goes up heavy bounce pad, but obviously heavy's not spawned. He didn't get rewarded with that. And he's going to come back down challenging. A surprising amount of damage, but he needs to do it all over again since it was just as the item spawned. 2 missed rails in a row. I think that's the most missed opportunities from cha1n that we've had. He can back up to the mega whenever he wants, but he really wants to be pressuring, and it almost pains him to have to go to the items when he wants to just apply this ammunition to his face. Ooh.
At least get another rail off to do a bit more damage, completely soften up his opponent. whaz, he's essentially been just running away this whole time. He's had to be on the retreat. He can't overly go on the offensive. It's just not been working out well for him. cha1n, though, definitely looking confident, being able to get 2 out of the 3 totems up. 20 seconds until we can get the triple totem in play as well, which is really going to start to throw a spanner into the works unless there's a response from whaz ASAP.
Oh, a little bit of a moment he had just there. cha1n misses the follow-up, but there's the rail. Makes amends for what happened beforehand, and he's now getting fully overstacked. whaz used a piercing sight previously, but he didn't really get anything back from it. He needs to make sure that he's getting a lot of benefits from that, and at the moment it's not being serving him as well as it should have. We're 5-0 up at the moment for cha1n. This is starting to become a pretty impressive lead.
He can only just keep adding to this as well. Essentially, the route he's had, he's just doing a lap around the map at a position where he's constantly being able to get the mega health every time it's up. He's happy to just gain map control, consistently finding frags. I don't think there's been a single time where he hasn't been able to get the armor and the mega at this point. It's basically just been his domain entirely.
Yeah, it's been a harsh environment for whaz to work in. Good, Brock actually knocking him off there. That's really disgustingly good. He's going to try and make it back up. The mega spawns in a second, but cha1n still delivers on that. And whaz saw that he had an opportunity. He knows the mega's coming up soon, but somehow cha1n still works that into his own benefit. That's just silly there.
Look at the timing on that as well. That was very nice. cha1n, so much more of a stack to play with. Spots out a leg, it seems, as well, so he's going to go straight on towards the chase. Fires off the warning rocket across in case the portal did come into play. Like he was getting ready to try and pre-fire across with a railgun, although the lightning gun might be more effective in the close-range combat that he's thrown into. He only has 1 rocket, so he doesn't want to waste it. He's trying to make it count.
This has been the best place so far from whaz. He's weak after that fight, but he's finally bought himself an item.
Ooh.
But he shouldn't be rushing up into a hotspot like that. He needs to take the slow routes around the map, because now he's finding himself hitting the halfway mark on the time limit and having to recreate this scenario, except to have some overstack and have some health and armor left once you've left the armor room.
He's being hunted, and the shots are being casted across. Again, cha1n, it's literally just been unlimited map control. There has been no response from whaz. He physically hasn't been able to fort him off. Every time it comes up, they are being taken. cha1n has had a ridiculous stack consistently.
There we go. Big moment just there. whaz gets himself to 100-100, lands a rail to even out the stacks. Ooh. Now this is an even fight, and whaz is pushing him away a little bit. He wants to push in a bit more, but now he can get himself the mega health and have time to go down towards the heavy. This is the swing whaz has been waiting for the whole time. And if he doesn't make something work from here, then God help us.
Literally, God help whaz at this point, because he needs something to give him an extra edge. It will be the second totem up in play soon as well, potentially. Another frag phone through, but luckily whaz will actually get the rocket off. He will land it this time and get himself back into a position with 1 on the board, although he's going to need 6 more to equalize, and with 4 minutes on the clock, it's going to have to be a bit of a struggle fest.
Well, there's going to be mega now. He's using piercing sight at a great time, because it's going to help him lock down the heavy. We might have to find a bit of damage from this and then back off. Hits the rail. If we can hit a follow-up, that is immense. Gets rid of a totem. He's overstepping the mark, possibly, but he does secure the frag. He's still got overstack HP, and he's getting on the heavy. This is starting to build up a little bit.
Coming close towards that 7-minute mark right now. 2 kills found. Grabs the mega on his way past, so whaz looking to get a little bit wacky into this one as he aggresses with a lightning gun, spamming down cha1n, nearly on the drive-by shot there with a railgun, spots him as he drops down, but somehow it's a complete role reversal. cha1n survives with 7 HP and gets the kill.
Savage, and whaz is not pushing straight down towards the heavy at all. cha1n manages to recover from that quickly. whaz was just playing with fire. He had something like 88 health as he was going down towards the heavy, and all he's banking on then is like, I hope I'm playing averages right, and this is one of the rails that he ends up missing. This dangerous strategy to use. Rail for a rail. Ooh, 2 for 1. whaz can still build some opportunities here. And he's going to have the heavy coming up in a second. Does need to take care of these totems, but it's not super hard to deal with. It basically just means cha1n has that 3 mega health. Oh god, okay, now these rockets are difficult. There's the vertical rail shot. cha1n goes 9 and 2, and to me that's sinking in it a little bit. That's a bit more like, no, really, you're not having any more opportunities to get into the map.
No, it looks like that's basically the missing piece that he needed to just completely start to shut it down now. The totems are in full force. They're absolutely engorging the map at this point, and cha1n is able to reset himself, get that health back into play to try and put himself straight back into the action. The rails have been sublime, and as well, the lightning gun work is just as juicy.
I wasn't expecting to have maps like this, but I guess on Ruins, cha1n has got a good background in here. That it can certainly make a lot of sense. I find that he gets most of his successes on Ruins. I just wonder if he's going to be able to hold it together moving on to the later maps. But this is definitely a way to kind of start the series off positively and use it as foundations for the rest.
Yeah, I mean, it can always just be a stepping stone to try and keep your head held high, because confidence can be such a big factor in just being able to excel with this level of play. And if he is going to have such a dominant first affair coming through, then you're going to be happy with yourself. Little victory shake there as cha1n now goes 11-2 with a minute left. There is no chance that whaz can actually equalize this scoreline. cha1n is going to be walking out of here as the victor on the opening map, very heavy-handedly there, still adding to it. Even now, he's just happy to hunt.
His rail's been great. I'm just looking at the notes again. Apparently this is whaz's map pick, which is slightly dangerous considering how good we've seen cha1n on this map before. Vale also being cha1n's pick. I mean, seeing people take each other's maps, it's not the first time we've seen it in esports, right? But it's definitely something to dwell on a little bit. Almost getting the follow-up. Doesn't want to give whaz the extra kill at all. He'll chase up 1 HP, and there it is. Well calculated, and a mega to finish the series on.
He glides his way out. He wanted to try and get one more drive-by just to add to the victory book there. But that is the win taken for cha1n. Now,
60% rail, man. That's nasty. That is really, really nasty. And I like that he's actually delivering on the rail. It is his pure resistance, and he's showcasing it for us now.
It's crazy, especially compared to what we spoke about. We were like, okay, this one could literally go one of two ways. It could be way more close than we expected. We thought it was going to be a tight affair. It's just the fact that it was the cha1n show. Like, hands down, cha1n was just unreal. In terms of map control, literally for the first maybe 4 minutes of the game, there was nothing but him essentially on a preset route where he had control of everything. The armor was his, the mega was his. You could not get anything without going through him first.
Yeah, there was a turning point during the game where whaz managed to secure himself the control, but he ended up taking one too many risks, couldn't deliver on some dodge that was necessary. This was also a really cool point for cha1n to kind of continue the control, where that's when it should have been the switch around. whaz is just going to be slightly gutted that he took the risks that he did, leading down towards heavy, which is what allowed cha1n to kind of put a stop to any comebacks. Look, it was that moment right there, 7 health. So I can face this. He's the one taking the risk if I've calculated his stack accordingly. And then the rest of it is him just able to showboat a little bit.
Yeah, really just absolutely running away with things there consistently throughout the entire matchup. And again, a dominant scoreline. One of the biggest scorelines that we've seen throughout the day. Obviously, not that many have actually been as inflated, but we're starting to see some big money games now towards the end of the night.
Yeah, now going on to Vale that we have, where we're going to be seeing Aizen and Athena. We haven't seen any Athena today, I don't believe. No. Correct me if I'm wrong. On Vale, it's always an interesting one. It's a small map. There's a lot of verticality, particularly in Mega and Heavy Room. And, well, actually, technically almost all rooms. But, let's put that past us.
Yeah.
Athena's got the triple hook cap. You can get some great mobility any which way that you like. It's just a case of can your fast, mobile, agile, yet weak character stand up to the task versus what could be a turret and a fully rocketed, suited up Aizen.
Yeah, it's worrying. Are you actually able to stand the test of time, really? Of just, literally how much damage can be outputted so quickly? Which
the one good thing is that cha1n will never really feel safe, but if you get control, then you'll feel confident.
Well, here we go. Let's see how it is going to play out as we're straight into the affair. Map 2 of our third match here in the Americas. We're delving into it with initial damage transfer between them both already. whaz looking slightly worse for wear to kick this one off.
Okay, it takes a bit of early damage. Trying to see if cha1n going after anything, but ends up seeing that his turret's dead and it's like, oh, you've not passed that way.
Ooh, the lightning gun connection. That's a big amount of damage done. Transfer between both of them there. He wanted the mega, but instead all he's going to get is a mess made out of it as he's left as mush on the floor. Continuation coming through as well. The 1v1 there onto the turret. The quick grab for a showstopper. But it wasn't meant to be, Zoo.
So close to Glory just dead. That's an insane turnaround. He's got some hooks so he can get back up. LG Tickle almost going to get him. Still has one more hook under his pelt, but now trying to re-implement some sanity into this. Fortunately for him, whaz just feeds away a kill, but that's going to be mega straight into a heavy for cha1n. A little bit of a delay. I like what he's doing at the moment, getting himself the light armor first. He firstly denies the resources anyway, and makes sure that he gets overstack armor regardless.
Two out of the 3 left to play with there, but it isn't going to matter as the portal is going to be what gives him the edge. cha1n, the elevated angle, just dealing death from above, connects it with a rail as well to soften them up quickly in with a response off the back of the railgun. whaz is just getting absolutely overthrown. He's being rumbled right now.
Can I recalibrate my prediction at all, or is it too late for that? I mean, cha1n is looking awesome at the moment.
Yeah, cha1n does look absolutely unreal, honestly.
Well, you know what? I'm happy to have surprises today. We've been getting a couple of them. Sib's been one of the biggest surprises for me, and oh my god, Forces of Suicide getting into the negatives now. cha1n could be the next surprise, you know, so be it.
That's not a scoreline you want, though. 4 to -1. It's not really the dream scenario, as there could even be more now gifted across to cha1n at this point. All of the shots are landing! And that is a speedy Gonzalez gamble that pays off very well.
Back onto the items straight away. I mean, he's been getting for free, got rockets to watch out for a little bit, but the execution is just so swift. Into the light, then into the heavy that comes up next. He's in a bit of danger. whaz does clutch out the rail. If he doesn't hit that one, then cha1n gets through the teleporter and resecures control on heavy. cha1n is so fast, and his lightning gun even more accurate.
It's crazy just how effective he's being right now. And this could actually be another one picked up here, as both of them are so low. It's a bit of a stalemate as they fall into things. They have to slow it down. The rocket is what whaz wants to use. If he can connect one just vaguely near enough to get the kill, somehow he stays alive.
I actually can't believe he chased that through the teleporter. I think that was a little bit too far. You know, don't give away the frag for free and then be upset if you get, just one away from whaz in a couple of minutes' time. Because the comeback's beginning. However, it was 7-0, probably until 6 or 7 minutes on Ruins. Comeback is starting half the time earlier.
Again, another confrontation coming through. The rocket's just going to be spammed out, hopefully in the close proximity in the small enclosed area that he's in. He can get the shots to land across. The lightning gun as well, with a small exit tap to at least soften him up slightly.
Oh, the drop down. Look before you jump. That's an important one to remember. Fortunately for him, it's not done any permanent damage. Whoa, okay. That might do.
Our third turret kill of the day.
I mean, that was like unprompted. So we didn't even have any drama between us. You just straight up died to the turret.
Just face tanked all of it.
It was way more unforgivable than what happened to Sib, and that was pretty forgivable at least.
Pre-fire rockets coming down from whaz, expecting his opponent to be right below him. He's actually grabbed the rail now, though. As we hit that 5-minute mark once again. It's a 7-4 split, so fairly reminiscent of what we have been seeing. It's not too far-fetched for both of these boys to continue on to potentially have a lead here in this one.
Control is looking really good from whaz. Usually when I say that, cha1n finds a way to just dish out 150 damage in an instant, but whaz is being very cautious. Goes for a teleporter at the right time. Can't drop down, but is given space to get himself the mega health. With Athena on some maps, you've got the capabilities of running away for an extended period of time and holding small frag leads, but I think that's a lot less possible on Vale. The push is coming through. Gotta be careful of the rail. The rail won't get him the kill. He's gonna back away from that, doesn't want to overstep the mark.
Ooh.
Persevere with his control. Takes some damage, but it's still fine at the moment. Shot landing is big. If I were him, yeah, just get the mega, and then go find where you think he's gonna go. He's just heard where he is. I think a rocket jump up is absolutely viable.
He's trying to bait him in to actually go for this one. 4 minutes left on the clock now as whaz lurking around. Lightning gun in hand, swishing out back towards the rocket as he fires off the warning. It could have been a connection there, but straight through the portal, the disappearing axe going to come into effect. Although they drop down, they're both on the same level. They're trying to fight over the control of this territory. Who is actually going to get blown to pieces first? It will be whaz to go, eliminated by cha1n off the back of the rocket spam.
Biggest mistakes there from whaz is switching to rail in close range. Was a lot of free damage for cha1n, and was definitely a reason that he won that fight. Oh, finding each other up the bounce pad, they suddenly make the exchange. What the hell is this fight? We're getting mid-airs as well. There's the rail to close it off. That made no sense at all. But I don't know what happened, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ride. I thought neither of them were going to die at the end of it. I was like, you guys literally followed each other. You're basically holding hands going up the bounce pad area and through the air. That is unbelievable. It's like ballet.
It really was. The pirouettes were on full force. Well, the cha1n right now, looking more to just upset. He's going to go 10-4 here. Continuously moving. Didn't need to slow down. Didn't need to stop. All he does is frag.
He's going to be able to find him again because we've got 2 major items up. He doesn't. If he has a hook, then he has actually got a chance to get 2, but we've got a brave jump from whaz. He's going to come back through, but he's now just eating rockets. It's not a diet I recommend.
cha1n straight in with the aggression there, going to cast out that grapple to pull himself ahead. Still needing 6 kills. 6 kills in 2 minutes is going to be incredibly rough to build with. Let's see if there is anything else. No. whaz gone again. An 11th frag now picked up for cha1n. Really trying to set this as completely over here in the second map.
So I feel the differences that we're getting, like they've both been having their chances in control, but I feel that cha1n really knows the limitations a bit more about how much he can overstep the mark and how much he can chase and move away from items that are up. Whereas as whaz, he has to be more sensitive than that, particularly going versus an Athena, and I think that gauge is just... it's not really there the same way cha1n is, and that's the main difference in what we're seeing in the results, and possibly the fact that cha1n has been so good with rail. It's just such a useful skill, and sometimes analysis has just to be as straightforward as that this guy is just hitting mind-blowing rails.
Yeah, I mean, he just looks sick right now. That's really such a big defining factor, is the fact that he does actually look unreal. He's completely bombarding his way through so easily. He's just hitting mental follow-ups there to actually get himself to 15 now. Bear in mind, that's in the last 50 seconds of time, so this very well could actually end in a 16-17-4 game here for cha1n, which is still only 2 out of the 3 as well, and whaz is gone again. That's the 16th accumulated.
Yeah, this has just gone into overdrive. I mean, I don't get to see a lot of Athena on this map, and I think I was cautious because Athena needs control to really get the best of her abilities. cha1n's been able to do that. He's been so successful in it. His good aim has built him so many opportunities afterwards. That was actually a disgustingly good rail, and I only wish the score was closer so I could have enjoyed it even more.
so one-sided at this point. The rails really aren't going to add up, although it definitely was one for style points, as it is going to be taken. cha1n, 16 kills to his name there. Big damage putting through.
52% rail. I mean, he hit 60 or so last map, 52 now. Just ridiculous. We're getting 40 LG to 32. He's hitting about 800 more damage with the LG. I didn't get to see in all of the other stats, but super comprehensive play from cha1n. I don't know if it's a fact that is whaz underperforming. I just definitely think that cha1n is performing. That's all.
cha1n just looks sick, honestly.
Yeah.
From what we saw there, like, the shots were really on the money for the most part. Overall, the movement was nice. You know, great understanding of the hero that he was actually wanting to play going into that in terms of the champion pick. Like, everything that could have gone well went well. So
yes.
I think that's the difference.
Completely. And, you know, moving up next, we're going to have Ranger and Doomslayer. We're going to be going into Blood Covenant. I think it's an incredibly close champion matchup. What can I say from whaz? I mean, need to connect more rails and also just watch out for getting that control overturned if you're overcommitting to a chase. I think that's possibly the main advice I'd provide, but, you know, you help yourself in all of these situations if you just hit more rails, man.
Yeah.
Hit the rails.
Just land those shots.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you got to do. That's literally the key to life.
Shoot the cyber demons or, you know, different characters that we have now.
Yeah. It's,
this fight here was just insane. It made so little sense how they were chasing each other. No one was dying up the bounce pad, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
There's a lot of madness of like last-minute survives and getaways that I think weren't as expected as initially came through. So definitely a whole different affair there on the first two maps, although there is still map 3 to come up between cha1n and whaz. So is this going to be a similar story? Or is this where we get something a bit different?
I mean, you got to feel it. You got to feel that a 3-0's in the air at the moment, and that what would that make it? That would make it a 5th one of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's absolutely a possibility at the moment, but I can feel smug that I picked cha1n, but no way like this. No way at all. It's just super impressive. He's won the series anyway. Now it's a point. Okay, can I peak in this next game? And can I bring home the money, bring home the juice?
Can he procure that pumpernickel?
Can I bring home the citrus fruit?
Very true.
You know that he's actually, it's not just a top, by the way. He's got like an entire uniform.
This is all, oh, what, you mean the shorts?
Yeah, it's shorts as well, it's not trousers.
What, were these bad boys? There you go.
So it's a full thing. I think some people in my Discord have also been like, I haven't been able to look at them yet.
Right.
They've been sharing links, so I've found you some like fruity blazers and stuff. I mean, I don't know. This could be a really bad influence. A really bad or great influence on me.
That's what I do. I spread my citrus.
That's worrying. Wait, you did say you have other fruit-based. Do you have any other themes that you go with?
Yeah, I've got some apples. I've got an apple-related shirt that's...
What about like non-fruit? Do you have like buildings?
Many different flowers, various animals.
Okay.
I've got one that's just entirely different animals. So let's see. But let's see two animals fight it out here, whaz and cha1n, as they are going to be clawing at each other. We are back into the pit, and already that is a complimentary rocket jump given across there.
Oh, well, everything's working for whaz. I wish he didn't drop down, only because he was getting such a consistent amount of damage that he possibly could have dug up some more angles and been creative with it. But, there's still a positive to it. Now he's got all the weapons he needs. He's got a glorious stack, and he's got time to try and apply some pressure.
Oh, Doomarine on the hunt there, as he will be able to spot him out. Ready with the rail, but it's a near miss from either side. This isn't going to work out too well. Both of them literally on the same position of health. Look at that. Both of them surviving basically with 4 to 5 HP to play with, Zoo.
That was an insane presence of mind just there. cha1n was so quick getting that angle, and whaz was like, oh, whoa, wait, he can do this? I'm really surprised whaz didn't die at that point.
You can hear him stomping around as they are going to have a bit of a battle between the two rails. It's not as effective right now. Back in with the rocket as well. They do have a large arsenal of weaponry to play with. But they are being cast out. There's no full overcommitment coming through as well. But this is really going to be the first proper fight we've had. The transfer of damage slowly chipping away at their health. It's not too much though.
A very interesting battle of resources at the moment. These items have been up for a while, and they're just swapping positions, counter-reading each other. whaz has done incredibly well to keep himself at the stack that he is. If he can just pay off with one rail, then he's in great shape. And I like the fact that we haven't had a frag yet. whaz is taking his time a bit. He's very much in the game, and I'd like to see him work as hard as possible just to minimize mistakes. This is great down from him. He might even get first blood here. Ooh. Looks for the vertical rail. He can't quite find the angle, and cha1n is going to be able to escape. Rockets jumps over to the other side of the pit. And he might even get himself heavy.
The connections are so impactful though right now. They're meaty hits that are coming through, and whaz will eventually get an opening pick on the board. Takes down cha1n to secure himself the opening frag this time around on that free.
Does he know that the orb was just used as well? Because rel's been taken. If he doesn't know it, he'll hear it. He'll feel it. There's 2 in a row. And that's just a goddammit, man. Two in a row there between the items. Well before the items are spawning. You are so hard out of control. And I think whaz just let go of the keyboard. It's just like, yeah, right. God damn it.
That was good. There was a lot of style points behind that one. The confidence was there. Ooh, the spam across though with the lightning gun allows him to set up for the chase, as he is going to just completely propel himself in. The cannonball of cha1n will batter its way through whaz.
I think whaz is just getting tilted that so many rails are hitting him. cha1n has been so consistent with that weapon for the entire series. cha1n dropping down a little bit. He's probably going to secure himself another one over here. There's the punches coming out, but it's nowhere near going to be enough. And now cha1n is starting to build that frag lead. Can whaz slow that down?
Shots coming through. He has completely rinsed all of the HP pool there, though, on cha1n at this point. His stack has been burned through, leaving him with just 65 HP to play with. Eventually finds himself a sliver of armor to scavenge to at least try and build himself back up and put himself together. Now upgrading that to the full 100 armor as we get so close to the 4-minute mark here. So this is actually going tremendously fast with fairly little confrontation between the two sides.
Ooh. Another? I mean, you go for the rail for the style points and make him hate life, but that is so damn good from cha1n. Sorry, I gotta be excited. That was a bit excellent.
It was good stuff. I mean, that's what we want to see coming out, right? Oh, the movement as well. Straight across with a rocket jump. The lightning gun coming out. Oh, it was almost there with a slip gate, but it's not quite going to be what he wanted, although we'll still find the frag in the end, blowing whaz apart.
I mean, does cha1n even know how good the stuff he's doing is? Like, it's seriously awesome work that he's doing. He knows how good his rails are, but I'm loving the chases that he's having with the orb. I mean, yeah, just an immaculate performance and showing some really good creativity. All the champions he's been playing tonight, just A-star.
Yeah, he really knows how to put on a show for us, although whaz has got one final attempt there with the flick back up, lands the rail, 6-2. Somewhat still in the margin for a comeback potentially.
I mean, if whaz can get his rail on as well, then I'm excited. But he's got a really high benchmark to hit at the moment. It makes it so difficult. cha1n goes aggressive. And only briefly doesn't get punished for it. I think whaz needs to get in his face. Particularly when he knows that the orb is down, he needs to make sure that's when he's most aggressive, but the orb comes back up, gets the rocket, gets the orb, and that's just so much damage in a row.
It is so rough to play against. It really puts you back into a corner. Although there's no chance to even fit in the corner at this point because he is just now left as bits of meat all over the floor, blown apart as the shots are going to land. Just HP and armor remaining for whaz. cha1n a little bit more worse for wear, but at least he's still standing. Surely whaz is going to go down. cha1n keeps hitting him with these rails.
Oh, he backed on it the wrong way, but he might still find him. Oh, the rail hits anyway. Damn, what is this guy's percentages at the moment? This is something else. I really feel like this is what he struggled with at QuakeCon. He just didn't really find any consistency in his aim.
Right.
And it's something that could be... I mean, even cha1n was criticized about this a long time ago. Just that he used to be seen as a sort of rail-only player.
Okay.
His rail was really that good, and it dominated a big part of his game style. That when he wasn't hitting the rails, it was kind of like, well, yeah, now you don't have the rail, what have you got? He no longer relies on that weapon at all. What I'd like to see from cha1n moving into the future is that he can play games like this, but it's not even about the rail. It's about everything coming together.
To be as all-round as possible whilst excelling in as many different roles. And I mean, we're seeing signs of that. Obviously, there is potential chances where sometimes he's landing some really, really sickening shots with a magnitude of weapons. But if there's anything you can do to try and flesh out your playstyle, you might as well. whaz, though, still only 3 kills. It's a good read, and it's a very good rail. Oh, that could have been the death right there.
Whoa, that was close. I mean, can he make a last-ditch effort?
Kind of, but not really with the timing we have left, honestly.
I can probably bring it back to 8 or so. Any more is going to be hard work. I think at this stage you're just trying to make yourself look as good and feel as good as possible at the end of what's been a very hard series. You know, it's nice that he's hitting rails, but it's like, can I just have hit these rails, you know, 20 minutes ago?
When they would have been way more impactful going into it. Although especially at this point as well, they're both basically neck and neck in terms of HP. cha1n has gone the complete opposite direction to try and find something, but he still hasn't got much of a pickup just yet.
Yeah, he does back away from that. It looked like cha1n was just hovering over heavy for a moment. It's like, no way can he wait for that. I think, yeah, whaz has just got to limit the amount of items he takes. He's just, if he wants to get anything done desperately, he has to just chase. He has to do things like this. And unfortunately, cha1n had the perfect position to punish that. So he's going to be able to get the next kill. Basically, whatever frags happen from here on in from cha1n, I mean, I think like 11-4 is where I kind of like the cutoff point, I think, in terms of that was the game. Now this is kind of victory laps. Chance for cha1n to kind of further cement his dominance in this series.
Yeah, this is literally just adding on to that total kill tally that we actually have there in the global rankings, of course, just to kind of have the bragging rights of literally look how many frags I can achieve. So at this point, you might as well, because cha1n looks like he really is kind of living the dream here.
Totally unexpected for me. I think had cha1n had a better performance, and you know, maybe predictions would go differently, and I'd be curious what people in chat would have said actually. You know, maybe there's a whole, maybe everybody was right and was like, it's cha1n, dude, shut up. But I hope that whaz can step it up going into week 3.
Yeah.
Because I feel that this is a result that he won't be that happy about.
No. On the flip side of things, though, obviously very, very effective stuff from cha1n. You're going to be happy with the overall display and the level of performance that you have put up here, because he's looked fairly impeccable. Some of the shots he's been landing have been very crisp, literally on the bar with some of the best players we've had so far over the course of the day. That does not work out the way he wanted it to. But that is going to be the pop coming around, so he can try and retreat out at this point, using it as more of a getaway tactic, but cha1n will find him.
He wanted the punch right at the last moment, but he just kind of mutated back into non-berserk form. And that was that, guys. That's going to be GG's between cha1n and whaz. We're handing out another 8 points here in the Quake Pro League.
They're just coming through today. Everyone is walking in, claiming their 8 points, and then walking out.
Look at that whaz's rail on this map, though. I mean, he hit basically the same accuracy, hit even more damage. Problem is, there was another wide portion of the game that I think he was missing out on a bit, but yeah, I think we're going to have some kind of like inflation issues with the points at some point if we keep having to do this. I'm sure it's going to get settled down at some point, but you know.
Yeah. But, I mean, it is crazy, though, because that's what we were saying. Like, we thought it'd be maybe a couple of teams, right, that obviously would be getting those 3-0s. 3-0s should be fairly rare. 3-0s have now been pretty much more standard than 2-1s at this point, which is shocking, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, last week, because we had the matches that basically were very similar to the global ranking. Now we're in that, as I said at the beginning of the show, we're in that calibration phase.
Yeah.
I think it's going to make the games, like all the games next week, really fascinating. I can't wait to see what the matchups are going to end up looking like. But one thing you guys really have to know, we've got one more match this evening.
Yeah,
one more match. It's a belter. It's big. And I don't know if the amount of fans Nosfer have is going to be kind of rivaling Rafa's enormous fan base. But if he performs well, then, you know, it can start rivaling it properly.
Maybe he'll find some new fans off the back of Rafa's fan base if he's able to just absolutely
rip them away
unleash.
from him.
Yeah.
Harsh times.
Literally claim them as zone at that point. But we're into essentially the game that everyone has been talking about. Obviously, the one that we kind of looked at and went, damn, like this is going to be sick. Kilson was pumped. I think everyone is pretty excited for this.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm looking forward to breaking that down further. But the one South American representative, Nosfer from Brazil, currently playing in Texas. I believe he's actually at Jahaz house at the moment. He's got something that he wants to prove. He's been wanting to prove it for a long time, and I can't wait to see if he can make it happen, or if we're going to have to wait for that hype wave for him a little later down the line.
See, I am excited for that because it really is sort of, is he going to live up to the hype, or is it just going to be the pure history of Rafa that will be the difference? Two players that have a lot to them, a lot of skill, a lot of history on one of them, and a lot of drive and fight for the other.
Yeah, and I think, actually, on a serious note for all the Rafa fans, a lot of them are probably going to feel fairly confident. I think when you cut it down to its core, people are going to say, Rafa's greatest of all time. This is a match, who is Nosfer as far as they're concerned, really? He's total newbie on the scene compared to Rafa. They're going to feel fairly confident. The question is whether the hype of Nosfer and this crazy style of his is something that can spice things up.
And that's why it makes it so interesting, because you have someone like Rafa he's facing up against. This is going to be the benchmark for the ages here in Quake Pro League. You will not want to miss it. Our final game for this week is up after the break. Stay tuned for that.